Welcome to the Emergency Traffic Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Emergency Traffic Podcast, where we talk about firefighter and paramedic line of duty deaths to learn from these tragic events and potentially prevent them from happening in the future. I am Paul, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Doug and Dirk. Hello, Doug and Dirk. How's it going today?
Oh, I'm good. It's same story with me being busy with family life, but I'm good. Happy to be back here. I missed a couple recordings doing a vacation, so it's nice to be back and doing one again.
Yeah, you tried to call in from the baseball game or something, didn't
Well,
you?
I didn't try to call in. You guys were doing the call, and I just thought it'd be funny to answer it from behind home plate there.
It was awesome.
It was a good game. They won it in extra innings, so it was good.
Perfect. Got your money out of those tickets.
Yeah.
And Dirk, how are you?
Doing well. Family's doing well. We went on a couple of trips here. We have a visitor from Spain right now, a student. So we wanted to show him Alberta. So we were super lucky with the weather. We went on a camping trip, and then we went to Calgary, Drumheller, to the dinosaur museum there. Yeah, that's basically it. Oh, they stopped by the fire station. That was nice too. So
Good. We need to go Drumheller. Apparently, it's a good place to go dirt bike riding a little bit. I'll have to try that sometime, Dirk.
I bet it's nice down there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
found an awesome brewery, so that helps too.
That helps too, for sure.
Après writing, is that a word?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be good. Yeah. And Dirk, or Doug, you've been busy? Been watching any shows or reading any books or anything lately?
Well, I've been watching the Netflix show about Jeffrey Dahmer, which is creepy but interesting, I guess.
No, thanks.
Yeah, well, I like the true crime stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I don't get much time to watch it. I stay up late at work to watch it because I don't have time at home with two little ones running. Well, one's running around, one's just learning to stand up. So it's gonna get even busier when they're both running around.
That's for sure. Yep, that's good. That's good. Awesome. And Dirk, how about you? Reading anything or movies or games?
Don't watch many movies. I can't remember the last one. I think we were watching Top Gun, which is a great show, by the way.
Okay.
We might have watched some kids shows like teenager stuff. Still struggling reading my leadership book, Jared Sager's ones. No, other than that, just trucking along. I think coming down with a little cold here. I already checked, so it's not COVID. It's all good. But no, other than that, it's all good. It is what it is. Gonna make it work.
I got about 2 or 3 books on the go, but I haven't been reading much of them at all, so I need to do more of that. And we watch lots of Netflix and BritBox and Acorn all the time, so we're always watching something. I don't know.
Yeah, the life of a retired guy. What are we gonna watch now?
Oh, the evening we just like after supper to watch a show. That's right, Life of a Retired Guy. I've been doing lots of teaching ICS and stuff like that too during the day.
Your old
It
fire
all falls
department.
short.
I was gonna say your old fire department made the news here.
Yes, they sure did. Yeah, big fire. Eight units of the townhouse complex or something were damaged by fire, and minimal initial first response. The report said only 2 people. I don't know. It should be at least 3 plus a chief is their staffing minimum. I thought, but and then I don't know about the part timers if they didn't get very many or what. It was this Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah, I can't remember when, but maybe they're not
Yeah,
counting the pump operator and the chief. I don't know.
I don't. Maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, it's definitely went up fast. Nobody injured, which is good. So, but a lot of people displaced, which is bad. And yeah, it's a community with lots of townhouses and 3-story walk-ups and 4-story walk-ups and stuff, and heavy initial response fire load with minimal staffing. Three people and an officer, 3 on the pump and an officer in a command vehicle is their 24/7 staffing.
Yeah, Edmonton had a similar fire. It was a townhouse, but I mean, with our zero lot lines, that's kind of like almost the same. They showed up with the appropriate amount of staffing, and they contained it to the house of origin. There was, from what I saw, there was zero damage to the exposure. So that's the difference between a minimal staff department and a healthy staff department.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. And nobody, at least Fort Saskatchewan, didn't get anybody injured, so that was good. But yeah, it's the same story in so many of the smaller cities in Western Canada, anyway, where they have minimal staffing, and when something bad goes, it's tough to get ahead of it.
This could be a tailboard talk one day, but I mean, in my opinion, having the what they keep calling their minimal staffing, I mean, it's still an improvement over their no staffing, right?
This is true.
It's, it's,
2 years ago, 3 years ago, they didn't have anybody in the
it's a
station at
slow,
night or on
slow
weekends.
step to go from 100% volunteer to more and more and more career people, right?
Yep. Yep. It's a big commitment that
But
they
that's
have
the
to make.
union president's job, is to get out there in the media and say we need more, we need more, we need more. So
You got to be
There you go.
careful because you don't want to disgruntle the volunteers till you went full.
Right.
I I imagine that it's political, it's tradition, it's like when your volunteers don't show up, that's a problem, right? You can't. I get that you want to go full time, but you cannot disgruntle your volunteers till you're completely healthy staff full time.
Yeah. And volunteers and part timers are hard to come by these days. Everybody's busy and lots of stuff going on, and getting them to turn out in the middle of the night can be a challenge, especially officers, because that's usually when they're busier in their personal lives as well as they mature and learn and get skills. So for sure.
getting turned out in the middle of the night for career guys is a challenge too.
I didn't say that.
That's true. I just heard this today in a podcast. Somebody was saying like it's tougher to get volunteers to retain them, and then pull them away from the family, and then tell the family I'm risking my life for no pay. So that seems to be
Or minimal pay. I mean, the pay isn't really the thing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, really like. And some guys still go to work next day, so now you're sleep deprived, right? And then the family suffers. Right?
I think we should do a tailboard talk here on the state of the North American or Canadian, whatever, volunteer fire service, because it's definitely a changing slash, I could argue, dying thing where you're not getting like, there's so many NFPA standards and whatever that fire departments and municipalities want to hold their fire department to, that it's not just the guy that owns the corner store anymore. I mean, there's barely any corner stores left, but there's no more guy that runs his own business that's going to drop it all to go answer the fire bell. And then that's it, right? Now there's training and there's equipment checks and there's meetings, and there's not 100 calls a year, there's 350 calls a year. So it's
Yeah.
harder you're asking more and more and more.
I just had a good talk with the fire chief actually from northern Alberta. They just put an ambulance in service for their volunteer department because the Alberta uh, health services are unable to give them proper service when it comes to EMS and transport. That was pretty. I think it's great for them that they've done that, but it's pretty devastating for the province. That's kind of like it's pretty sad. It's a sad
Well,
state.
that's new for us, but that's not uncommon. There's a lot in the United States, the East Coast. There's a ton of volunteer fire departments or volunteer ambulance services that have ambulances. Like I mean, in New York City, it's not all government provided ambulance. The hospitals have their own ambulances that are part of the system. It's it, it's just different for us, right? It's not a new problem that we're dealing with here.
Well, it's a new problem that you don't have transport and you wait for hours for something that might be critical, right?
Well, it's a new
Um,
problem to us.
New to us.
It's not a new problem
It's new to
in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, the blueprint's out there for how to handle it. We just have to go find it and look at it. But we don't want to get
That's
into
true.
the talk about the ambulance system around here because we'll be talking forever and
Maybe.
solving no problems.
Let's call this the Tabor talk, and then we
Yeah.
finish this up, and then we start over with the actual line of duty death.
Bunch of dumb firemen talking with ambulances too. That's what's good is that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to know how that would work, because the rig looks nice. So that's one thing. But they're staffing it with qualified volunteers, and then stuff sending them out in the rescue truck. They just put them on the ambulance, um, in case they have to. They haven't had to transport anybody yet, but you know, it's the option. So yeah, I just thought it was nice,
Yep.
interesting.
Lots of stuff going on there in the province with changes and stuff, and paramedic shortage everywhere, of course, as everything else, right? There's shortages for all kinds of people. All right, well, let's get into this week's incident. It talks a little bit about EMS as well in here. Anyway, so this week's incident is October 7th of 2014, when a 48-year-old male career firefighter died while conducting an interior firefighting operations in a two-story residential apartment fire. Two other firefighters were injured. One was hospitalized for almost a month after falling out of a window. The career fire department involved in this incident serves the city of Hartford, Connecticut, with a population of over 125,000 people and a total area only of 17 square miles. So it's not that big an area, but a lot of people in that area. The fire department employs about 395 personnel and averages 23,000 response calls annually. And they don't do EMS; it's a separate ambulance service.
It's just
There's 12 fire.
it's crazy to me when we talk about that. Like I was just talking before we started recording here, but like 125,000 people would be the third biggest city in Alberta, and they have 12 fire stations. We have a few areas with 100,000 people, and they have 5 fire. I mean, Strathcona County's got 6. 2 of them are paid on or volunteer, but it's just it always fascinates me when you compare different parts of North America to like we talked about. Red Deer's got 100,000 people and 40 square miles and 5 fire stations. Hartford's got 125,000 people, 17 square miles, 12 fire stations. So
Yeah, I mean they got 11 engines, 5 ladders, 1 tactical unit, and numerous special support and reserve units, and 5 ladders. So I think what city you're referring to, Red Deer, I think they have 2, and then the county which surrounds it has
we
1.
have 2 that are. I don't
Um,
think they're both staffed.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't.
They might
I
not
don't
be.
think.
You're right. So in Hartford, all the apparatus are staffed with a minimum crew of 3 and an officer. So basically, fully staffed, kind of average. Um, Emergency medical services provided by 2 separate ambulance companies. Each ambulance company is assigned a response area within one of the 2 fire districts within the city. They Fire departments requires all potential candidates to have high school diploma, a valid driver's license, and pass a background check. Then they do the 16-week recruit firefighter training. Covers all of the NFPA 1001 and 1 and 2, and hazmat awareness and operations, and emergency medical care. Upon completion of a recruit school, they can go to a station, get assigned to a station, become a probationary firefighter for a year. This department training academy has a full complement of staff. However, due to budget constraints, the staff is not authorized overtime, and the facilities are in need of repairs, according to the NIOSH report. Training academy has a burn building, but it hasn't been used for years, and it's actually condemned. These all play a factor into the tragedy that happened after all. No firefighter training actually can take place outside because it's adjacent to the police fire academy firing range, and there's use due to rounds ricocheting into the training ground. So there's no training when the police guys are shooting. The structure involved is an older 2-story wood frame building that was built in '53. It consists of about 2,000 square feet on each living space between the 2 apartments. Each floor consisted of 5 rooms that included 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. So it's only 2 apartments, 2 floors, 2 apartments. The structure had a front entrance with 2 doors, one left open to the interior stairway to go up to the second floor, and one on the right to go into the first floor apartment. Top of the stairway, there was a door with a deadbolt and a second door to the right with a normal entry knob. I'm not sure why they had the two doors at the top of the stairway, but it did play a factor in the fire, in the orientation of the firefighters. There was a rear entrance to both floors via a covered porch on the outside of the house, stairs to the second floor. It also had an unoccupied third apartment in a finished basement with an exterior entrance at the rear of the Charlie side of the structures. Um, Personnel, October 7th, 2014, 18:30 hours. They transmitted an alarm for a structure fire with smoke showing. The initial units dispatched were engine 16, 14, 7, and ladder 4 and ladder 3, a tactical unit, and a district chief. The tactical unit was the heavy rescue. Upon arrival, engine 16 advised it was a working fire. They upgraded the alarm on dispatch, but added another district chief and two more engines. So they had 5 engines, 2 ladders, and a rescue unit, and 3 chiefs responding. The fatally injured firefighter was wearing workstation uniforms, turnout coats, pants, gloves, boots, helmet, and SCBA with an integrated personal alert safety system or PASS and a portable radio. No balaclavas were worn or enforced by the department at this time. The SCBAs were evaluated by NIOSH during the investigation, and the evaluation showed one of the SCBAs failed the remaining service life indicator test. So the secondary bell failed to operate when it should have within the parameters, but it did pass all other tests for breathing and everything. Another SCBA, that was one of the injured firefighters, did not meet the 30-minute minimum duration test upon breathing tests. It didn't last long enough, but it passed other NIOSH tests. The weather was warm for us anyway, 92 degrees. The wind speed was 8 miles per hour. Upon arrival, engine 16 lieutenant observed heavy smoke from the half a block away and announced that it was a working fire. They laid into the fire from a hydrant approximately a block and a half away from the building. A firefighter from engine 16 was the hydrant man, so he got off, hooked up the hydrant, waited for the order. Engine 16 pulled up past the building to allow space for the ladder. A firefighter from engine 16 pulled an 1.75-inch line, and while the lieutenant radioed heavy fire showing on the Bravo side. Just a few moments later, 4 minutes later, ladder 4, engine 14, and the chief arrived. District chief assumed command while 14 laid in another supply line from 2 blocks away. Ladder 4 forced the first floor door to the second floor apartment. 2 firefighters from engine 16, a lieutenant and 1 firefighter, made entry to the stairwell and started up the stairs to the second floor apartment. The crew from ladder 4 went by engine 16 to the top of the stairs. In near zero visibility, ladder 4 felt a deadbolt on the door at the top of the stairs in front of them, but no doorknob. He then felt a locked doorknob on the door to the right, which ladder 4 then forced open. The engine 14 crew had a backup 1.75-inch line out front and were redirected by command to go to the rear Charlie side and make entry up the stairs. The crew from ladder 7 replaced ladder 14 in the front to back up engine 16 that had gone in and gone up the stairs. Let's see, approximately 18:39 hours, so 9 minutes on scene. Engine 14, with the help of ladder 3, made entry on the second floor rear with a charged 1.75-inch hose line. District Chief and Engine 5 and Engine 2 all arrived on scene. Command assigned District 1 as safety, Engine 5 as RIT team, and Engine 2 as rehab unit. Upon entry, 16 reported the apartment was hot with zero visibility, and approximately 18:40 hours, 16 had the line charged and they penciled the ceiling. Ladder 4 also reported the second floor apartment was hot with near zero visibility and began a right-hand search on their knees. Minutes later, Ladder 3 reported to command that 14 was hitting the fire from side Charlie. One engine 16 firefighter had gone to the rear, that was the hydrant man, with engine 14. About this time, another engine 16 firefighter that was inside, vibro alert sounded, and the lieutenant told him to exit. Tactical unit had made entry from the rear stairwell to the second floor apartment. They passed ladder 3 and engine 14 in the kitchen area, began pulling ceiling in the living room looking for fire from the back. Firefighter from ladder 4 vented the picture window on the front alpha side of the second floor apartment. The ladder 4 lieutenant reported rapid increase in heat in the apartment and ordered his crew out. Engine 16 officer headed for the door but lost contact with the firefighter. Engine 16 officer found the hose line with the nozzle shut off near the door. Due to the extreme heat in the room, the 16 officer opened the nozzle up to cool down the room. 3 members of Tactical Unit's 1 crew who were in the living room near the kitchen pulling ceiling were struck by a hose stream coming from somewhere near the alpha side, probably the end of the line that he opened up because it was hot. The crew became separated. 1 member of the tactical unit exited out the rear stairway through the kitchen. The other 2 firefighters reported being hit in the face and chest, momentarily became disoriented. 1 member made it to the kitchen and located the lieutenant and a firefighter who had also been hit by the hose stream. Engine 14's hose line had become loose, but they were able to secure it. All firefighters who were hit with the hose stream had their helmets knocked off and SCBA face pieces dislodged. An Engine 14 firefighter became disoriented, confused with having been hit twice with a hose stream. He needed assistance to exit the structure. A third firefighter from Tactical Unit 1 had taken a direct hit in the face, lost his helmet, his face piece dislodged, and he was knocked down by the hose stream. He stated that he may have been unconscious for a brief period. He was unable to locate his helmet and face piece, and he stated that his head and eyes were burning from the extreme heat in the apartment. He used his wet gloves to try to cool his head and face. He was unable to locate any firefighters or use his radio. He ended up on the alpha side picture window that ladder 4 had previously vented. Firefighters on the ground also noticed him at the window and tried to communicate to him that they were getting a ground ladder. A couple moments later, he lost consciousness, tumbled out the window to the ground. Command then ordered everyone out of the structure and requested a medical unit because there was no ambulance on scene because they didn't get dispatched. So a medical unit responded, transported the member to hospital. Severe burns to his head, ears, neck, shoulders. Hospitalized in a burn unit for 23 days, but he survived. Engine 16 officer continued to search for the firefighter until his Vibra alert activated. He stated that he called a mayday, but it was not acknowledged. He also tried to radio Engine 16 firefighter. The officer crawled out of the apartment with no air left in his cylinder and exited the structure. Upon his exit, the Engine 16 officer noticed that a firefighter was being attended to on the ground outside Alpha. He may have thought that was his firefighter when it was really the tactical unit firefighter. Several occasions, command tried to contact Engine 16 officer, no response. For several minutes, the lieutenant tried to locate the firefighter with no success. 1856 hours, so this is 16 minutes after arrival, the lieutenant notified command that he couldn't find his firefighter. Immediately, command tried to radio Engine 16 firefighter, no response. 1858, activated rapid intervention crew, which sent Engine 5 and the tactical unit into the apartment. Engine 5 made entry, second floor apartment, looked at his thermal imager, and the screen was all white, but he heard a pass alarm going off to the right of the door. Engine 16 firefighter was found lying on his right side near the door. The crew grabbed the firefighter. He appeared to be caught on something on the lower right leg and foot. He was entangled on a piece of wrought iron furniture. The RIT crew untangled him and carried him down the stairs to EMS waiting outside. Firefighters' SCBA was intact and properly donned on his face with no air, empty. The approximately 1900 hours, they started CPR and he was transported and pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. They knocked the fire down. 10 minutes later, the indicators of significant fire behavior were present. There was smoke on the Bravo Charlie corner upon arrival. There was fire showing on the Bravo side, heat and heavy black smoke throughout the second floor. The fire self-vented out of the 2 windows on the Charlie corner and extended up the exterior wall. Heavy fire on the corner of the second floor and attic. There was no vertical ventilation at this time. Removed the alpha side front window, created a flow path for the fire, and the fire was knocked down 41 minutes after arrival. The cause of death for the firefighter was asphyxiation due to lack of oxygen. Recommendations. Initial thoughts, first of all, anybody? Or?
sounded like what seemed to be a normal call turned into a shit show when it comes to coordination. Two fire attack teams on the same level, um, taking the window, you know, creating that immense heat that caused the one firefighter or captain to open the nozzle, hitting the other guys. Uh, I know, like, if I wear my helmet properly, I don't think a fire hose should be able, or a stream should be able to take it off my head. So, uh, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, once everything turned into chaos, it's a chaotic scene, zero visibility, high heat, and everybody just tried to survive. So, yeah, it's pretty tragic. I mean, that could have ended up with two line of duty deaths, right? You said
Yeah.
the other one
Well, the other guy survived. I don't know if he went back to
survived,
work.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Doug, what do you think?
I think the biggest problem here was venting that window without having finding the fire and having fire attack ready to go, and it sounds like it led to a rapid deterioration of conditions, and everybody was trapped, and then it was just spraying water and not caring where you're spraying it and hitting guys, and then them getting confused, and it just snowballed, right? One thing led to another to another. It sounds like they're very, what I would say, East Coast oriented, where like the truck companies or the rescue or tactical unit are the ones opening up the structure, looking for the fire. The engine companies are the ones stretching the lines to put out the fire, which is fine, which I don't have a problem with that. But you can't vent the window without knowing where the fire is and having fire attack ready to put the fire out. You can open up the ceilings and open up the walls and find the fire, and then when you start attacking it, that's when you're venting it to get the hot steam that you're creating out of there, right? So you vent it too early, and then it leads to this problem.
Yeah. Recommendations, of course, fire departments should ensure that risk assessments are conducted prior to initial operations and throughout the incident. Occupancies define the space inside of the building, construction types, classes of construction, how the building was constructed with either combustible or non combustible materials. Life safety is always the first priority, followed by incident stabilization and then property conservation. Ensuring the fire safety of firefighters, of course, is continuous. Unless an obvious life safety issue exists, visible victims requiring immediate assistance, the interior firefighting operation should not commence until the report from Side Charlie is received. They didn't get the 360 first, they were gone, they went up. This is coming from NIOSH, and they talk about no risk to the safety of firefighters should be acceptable where there's no possibility to save lives or property. So, don't know what the fire looked like when they arrived. Was that second floor too far gone? They said it was really hot and smoky when they went up there. Um, Talks about in the NIOSH, even a 360-degree size up can be conducted. If it can't be conducted, the second due engine company and third due engine company, or the second truck can always, be assigned to the second side Charlie, which they did assign a crew to Charlie, and they were really quick at getting upstairs and doing that. You guys sort of touched on it, but didn't say it. But NIOSH, of course, refers to slicers, the acronym slicers, size up the scene, locate the fire, which they like say they didn't maybe have, identify and control the flow path, the bottom stairs door open, the back stairs door open, vent the picture window. You're in the chimney. Cool a heated space from a safe location. Extinguish the fire. Rescue and salvage of actions of opportunity. So some guys don't like slicers because they put rescue and salvage down to opportunity, but if it's not safe, then you have to wait. Commander has to weigh that, of course. Number two, fire department should ensure crew integrity is properly maintained by voice or radio contact. Engine company enters a structure, the members must remain in contact, which they did. I mean, they were all in contact except 16B became separated from his lieutenant after his low air alarm went off, and his lieutenant said to exit. The lieutenant searched and tried to contact his firefighter, then called a mayday that went unheard. Also, 16 firefighter the other one went to the rear. So I don't know if the lieutenant didn't exit with him. That happened to me one time where I had an air problem, and I told my partner that I was heading out, and turned around and started heading out, and he didn't hear me, didn't acknowledge, I guess, whatever. And I went out, and all of a sudden he turns around, no one's there. He came out right after me, but he was some upset that I left him in there alone, which I thought he was coming right behind me, but he didn't. So
That's why you enter together, you leave together. It
yeah,
sucks when after 2 minutes somebody has a problem with EBA, but you go in as a crew, you come out as a crew to prevent exactly that, right?
yeah, and I don't know if it was a failure of the SCBA or it was the old SCBA. So I probably overbreathed it. The old SCBA's didn't have the flow that it should have, and I've never been in excellent shape. So discussion for number 2 was what at this incident. Yeah, separated. We talked about that. Number 3, ensure firefighters and officers are properly trained in air management, including out of air emergencies. This is one I was thinking about today when I was teaching another course. Discussion Chief Bobby Halton, retired editor and chief, fire chief and editor in chief of fire engineering. Today, with today's SCBAs and today's fires, if you run out of air during a working fire today, you are in mortal danger. There is no good air at the floor anymore. There's no effective filtering methods, no matter what others say to the contrary, according to Chief Bobby Halton, quoted by Gagliano in 2008. Firefighters must manage their air so they leave the immediately dangerous to life and health atmosphere before the low air alarms. And I know the Blue Card guys, the B Shifter podcast, they go on and on about this. Is that if you're coming out of the building and your alarm is ringing, that is an emergency. That's a mayday. It shouldn't happen. You're in there too long.
Yeah, I mean, my I'm not answering your comment there yet, but I have a gripe or whatever you want to call it with NIOSH saying I don't like the idea of like, well, the fire's too big, we can't go in, or if there's no confirmed victims, you shouldn't go in, because to me, if the structure has integrity that you can go in there, which this one did, you should be going in there to make sure there's no victims. Like, it's not an empty building until the fire department determines it's an empty building. You can't just say, oh, there's nobody hanging out the window, so anybody in there, too bad, so sad, which is what NIOSH is almost making it sound like it is, which is easy for a bunch of people afterwards to say, like, well, you shouldn't have went in there. Well, they couldn't even find the fire. So it couldn't have been that bad a fire from the inside. It was the whole problem was opening the window. That's what made things
Yeah,
bad, right? And
you may have a point there.
and I mean, yeah, you should monitor your air, I guess, and know when to leave.
Well, and the next line in the script there that I have, of course, Doug, is they were informed after the fact that cylinders were allowed to go down to 3,800 psi before refilling them because they didn't have compressors in all the stations, so or cascades. So right there, they could have been going in with only half a tank
Sure.
or three-quarters of a tank, which we saw that in Charleston, the same thing. They didn't fill the tanks up.
And like you brought up slicers, and like to me, one of my biggest gripes about slicers is like it when you think about it and talk about it, it's like an in order thing. Size it up, locate it, all that stuff. Where in real life on a well staffed and well dispatched fire department, a lot of that stuff's all happening at the exact same time. Right? You're all sizing it up when you get there. The truck companies are going to work to locate the fire. It's all happening simultaneously. It's not happening one after the other, which is what slicers to me sounds like should be happening. And that's my biggest gripe.
It happens at the same time, and I mean, they sized up the scene. They didn't really locate the fire. Probably second floor, obviously. But the big thing is control the flow path. That's the only step here that, they opened both bottom doors and there was already self vented. So even without the picture window going, it would have went rocking as soon as both doors were open.
Well, I mean, but the lieutenant said it got bad when the window got taken.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
The doors
Yeah.
were open. It was self vented. Things weren't bad yet. When that window got open, that's when things got bad. So yeah, you got to identify or control the full flow path, which is kind of a new last 5 years kind of talk. I think. I mean, this is
Maybe seven,
8
eight.
years
Yeah.
ago. like this fire would have happened like right when the whole flow path thing was maybe starting in its infancy.
Yep. Well, and the big thing was air management, right? And they said right in there, identified that air management was a contributing factor on many investigations of firefighter line of duty deaths. Fire departments need to ensure that training on air management occurs at all levels of the command structure. From the information we have here, if the firefighter hadn't have got a low air or alarm, then he wouldn't have left the hose line. The captain wouldn't have lost control of the hose line, and when it started getting hot, they would have opened their nozzles up and potentially controlled the fire and may potentially not hit the other crew. So, I mean, it's all tied to that air management, which that's the big thing is how much time do you have, whatever your cylinders are, how much time do you have on air before the low air alarm goes out? Because the low air alarm, that is the reserve to save your life when you go too far, when you're in there too long for whatever reason, rescuing me because I'm fat.
To me, that's easy to talk about in theory, whatever, but like
It is.
everybody's
It's hard.
answer to how much air they have is different, and everybody's like your individual answer is different on any day. Also, what you're doing before the call came in, what the temperature is like outside, all that stuff matters. And to me, the bigger issue on this event is that they had SCBAs that didn't pass tests, and they had and they were down too low and all that stuff. That's inexcusable. Like that's air management that you can do before the call.
Yep, yep. They kind of had a bit of a lack of personnel accountability. I don't know if the Chiefs maybe didn't have an assistant or something, but they didn't really have it. This incident accountability was not established until late on the fire ground. Recommendation 5 talks about ensure incident commanders incorporate the principles of command safety into the incident management system. Principles of command safety, they talk about command safety is used as part of the 8 functions of command developed by Chief Brunacini, uh, retired and passed away a few years ago. Several elements of command safety, such as communications, incident action planning, and risk management, needed to be further evaluated and updated. So they didn't have good comms. They said they were calling each other all the time and didn't get answers. Um, so those are kind of things. Mayday procedures. Many fire departments don't have a simple procedure for Maydays. To say when a fire, it's hard to say when a critical situation comes up and you're in a Mayday. Mayday declaration is such an infrequent event in any firefighter's career that we need to be trained and frequently on how to recognize the need for a Mayday, how to declare a Mayday, and what steps are taken to improve their chances of survival. In this incident, the firefighter never called a Mayday, never activated his emergency button. Possibly were inoperable, is what the report here says, or turned his pass device on. His pass device went on its own when he was immobile. He didn't turn it on, and his officer called a mayday that went unacknowledged. So something. Where was the chief there? Right.
That would be my question. Like they don't go into great details to explain the radio system. If they have like a working channel and then tactical channels, is that
Right.
like talkie is dispatch monitoring? Because then usually like in most of our cases that we talked about, the media was missed, that dispatch actually caught that before anybody else on the fire ground. But here there's no mentioning of it. Same with the SCBA. Do they have 60-minute bottles, 45-minute bottles, 30-minute bottles? Like, I'm not sure. Sorry, cylinders. Um, so
Yeah,
the
it might be further in the report somewhere. I didn't see it pop
might have
up.
been, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, media procedures. Like that's something a lot of the
Well,
pop struggle
that,
with. Like,
and that's where like Doug and I don't maybe agree, or some people don't agree with me. But that's really where I like the thing that some agencies train is that if you're in command, you're sitting in your truck inside with the windows closed, the air conditioning on, and you're focused on the people in the dangerous area. That's your focus, is those guys that are in a space where they can be killed, and you have an assistant to help you with that, because the most important transmission on the fire ground is going to be a mayday or emergency traffic. Let's get out of here. Which none of those happened here until later on.
So there was a chief though that took
There
command.
was a chief, but
It doesn't
they
say
didn't.
where he was, if he was in
No,
the buggy or not.
no,
Um,
doesn't say.
yeah, and then usually somebody else, like everybody should be listening to the radio anyway. So somebody should have caught that Mayday. I don't know if there was any radio recording of this. Like,
Yeah, it says here in recommendation 7 that there were several breakdowns in communications, including transmissions not being understood, mayday not acknowledged, and transmissions not getting through. So it doesn't really give any more information on that. They think that they say due to influx of resources at this incident, when the mayday occurred, the incident commander quickly called for additional resources and conducted a personnel accountability report to determine if any companies were lost or missing. Due to the influx of resources, trying to determine the location of companies and identifying crews that were missing, the incident commander was quickly overwhelmed. Didn't have a Mayday worksheet or a tactical worksheet to use, which is, come on, guys, it's an 11 by 17 piece of paper and a clipboard. I mean, I had that, got that here in Lacombe, and in all my little fire departments, we gave the potential commanders a sheet of paper so they could try to keep organized. So important.
yeah, there wasn't a lack of manpower. I mean, there were probably other officers, level
Oh,
one
three
knows.
chiefs.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a chief in that sense, right? It has to be an officer, or a really good senior firefighter. They could run this sheet till uh,
Yeah,
a higher rank shows up if that's what you need. But yeah,
yeah.
that seems to be always a problem, right?
And then, like Doug just mentioned a few minutes ago, recommendation 9 integrate current fire behavior research finding developed by NISC and Underwriters Laboratories regarding live fire training and revising fireground tactics. And right, that was just coming out now, this whole flow path thing. Personally, my personal belief, and that's the way we get audience reaction, is a lot of today's firefighters have never operated a wood stove. They've never operated. They don't know how a stove behaves. I grew up operating a wood stove because I'm old and I lived in the bush for a while. But I know that if I have the chimney wide open and it's full of fuel and I open the vent, that fire is going to go crazy. And if I close the vent, it's going to be controlled and I can go make it burn slower. So, but if people don't have that experience, that's why this new training that they have that you can take online for free, a couple hours of your time. No one knows if you fail the test, but it and the little the simulations are a max box and the dollhouse thing where you build the dollhouse out of press board, whatever it is, and burn it up. It's good
There's
training.
there's many things that we've done in the fire service in the past that was just that's the way it is, and we never connected the dots, as you said, like a house fire with the vents and intakes behave like a stove. All I can say is positive pressure attack. Oh, you gotta go in there with fresh air in your back, and nobody talks about the opening, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, and and then you think about your fireboxes and stuff, and it's like, yeah, what are we doing? We're blowing fresh air in this thing to get it going, but on the fire, we think we put out the fire by blowing fresh air in. So
right.
I think the fire department sometimes is really like we're so ingrained in tradition that it's tough to change. And
Uh,
then when somebody comes around like UL and this, like people that actually look into it, is like, what the hell are you guys doing, right?
Well,
And
the fire's changed too. The fire's different today. In the last 20 years, we are surrounded by solidified gasoline. This is all gasoline. The desk is gasoline. The headphones, the computer, everything is gasoline. The TV set, the pictures on the wall, the furniture. We live in it. Well, when it gets hot and it has air, what does it do? The fuel load is so much more today than it was 20 or 30 years ago. But the firefighters, it's the same firefighter. They don't know that. And how many fires do they get to go to, right?
I saw a meme there I don't know, a little while ago, and it had a beer can with the top popped, and then you poke the other hole in it to increase the air going in, so the beer comes out faster, right? And it said, "Suddenly, firefighters understand flow path
Yeah, exactly.
because they
And
understand it
I
on the
mean,
beer can to get more beer out of the can." It's the same thing on a house.
and so many fires that we know of, and even ones we haven't covered yet on the podcast, it's flow path. if you're in the chimney and the flow path is going, even if you have a hose line, it's questionable whether it's going to be enough water to keep you cool and protect you, right? So you're absolutely right, Doug. And, a good way to learn about it. Think of the wood stove, but they've never operated a wood stove. At this incident, thermal imagers, another thing they talked about. Uh, Valuable tool, of course, is a thermal imager. The first crew that went in didn't have a thermal imager. It was out of service. The next engine did to search for the missing firefighter. They used it and they found, actually, they heard the pass alarm. That's how they found it. They said their thermal imager was all white. So a lot of that is operator error on the thermal imager, or it was a big change in temperature, or a lot of times, just you got to wipe it off or you can't see it. So, no hoods. It talks about that. The fire department recently changed their policy. Now requires firefighters to wear hoods. A number of firefighters that were hit by hose streams had their helmets knocked off. Numerous firefighters were not using their chin straps on their helmets. Proper use of helmet requires using the chin strap.
That's what I was saying. Like, if you use that chin strap, that helmet should not fly off,
Yeah, I had
right?
mine knocked off once, but it was a master stream. We were out training, and the chief thought it'd be funny to knock me over, and I was on my knees anyway, so it just rolled me down the road because round is a shape. And
But in general, like when there's injuries to heads while the firefighter was wearing a helmet, most of the time the chin strap was not buckled
yeah,
up. So that is one of the main problems. That again speaks for a European helmet, right, Doug?
that's right.
Ah.
And the SCBA would have been on the helmet, and it probably would have stayed on his head.
Well, it would probably float off if it hits you from the side. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if those clamps actually would keep it in place, but besides the point, if you don't wear that helmet properly, none of the helmet's going to protect you. That's just a matter of fact, right?
Okay, well, good. That's another podcast. Great discussion. Hopefully, there's something in here that you hear that goes to your head and sticks there and helps you be safer on the next call. Thank you much for listening to another podcast of Emergency Traffic. We appreciate your interest. Hope you find them interesting. Give us a star, a like, a thumbs up on the app that you use to listen to us. These mean a lot to us, and they also help the algorithms for people to learn about our podcast. We're still slowly growing. You can follow us Twitter, Podcast Traffic, our Facebook page, the Emergency Traffic Podcast, and on Instagram. You can email us at emergencytrafficpodcast@gmail.com. Dirk, final words?
Stay safe.